hope you can see me okay. Okay, hi beautiful human. I am going to speak to you about my 12-step addiction recovery journey today. Yeah, I honestly never ever could have imagined that I would be sober today. I was the biggest party animal. From 13 years old, I just loved to party. And I was always, the one that was the most drunk, the last one awake, the social butterfly. I did 3 seasons in Ibiza. I was just party. And I never thought that I would stop drinking and taking drugs, to be honest. I never thought I would. And I'd only briefly heard about Alcoholics Anonymous, and in my head it was somewhere where like old men go that are alcoholics, that are smelly and they don't shower and they wake up and drink in the morning. And that's probably 1% of Alcoholics Anonymous. So I'm not saying they don't exist, because of course they do exist, but I was so shocked to see the amount of successful, healthy people from really good families, people with not even any childhood trauma or any trauma at all. These addictions can catch anyone from any background, any wealth bracket. It doesn't matter. It's just that there's one thing in common, and that's addiction. So yeah, I'll speak to you about how I realized that I was an addict, because it had never crossed my mind until 2 years ago, when my best friend ended up going into rehab, and I went to visit them, and I'd been drinking the night before, so I was quite hungover at this rehab, and it was in a lovely countryside resort. I think it's £12,000 a week or month, I don't know, but it's expensive, and it's a really nice rehab, and it's one where it's famous for Amy Winehouse falling in the pond. They had this gorgeous big pond in the reception with big caught fish in it. It was such a beautiful space, and I thought, I wish I could afford to do this, like a month detox. It must be quite healthy, and they do group work, and they do for many years I've been on a self-growth journey, and I was just really intrigued by what they learn in there, and it's all based around the 12 steps. So after that, my friend called me and they said, I love you to bits, but if you're gonna carry on partying and drinking like that, I won't be able to hang out with you or be friends with you when I come out, because I need to protect my sobriety. And I thought, it made me really sad, and then it made me think, okay, what's, giving up alcohol and drugs, it's not going to do me any harm. Why don't I just give it a go? And I tried, but it probably lasted for a week, and then I started drinking again and using again, and I had all sorts of addictions going on that I didn't realize. One was sex and dating addiction. I was addicted to food, binge eating. I was addicted to alcohol. I was addicted to poppers. I wasn't addicted to any form of drug like cocaine, but it was just another substance that I used to escape reality. So I just put them all in one bracket as my substance abuse. Anyway, when they came out, I went to an NA meeting, and I'll never forget that day. Because I was binge eating, I took a bunch of laxatives, so I was literally squeezing my butt cheeks together on the tube, trying not to poop myself. another addiction. Anyway, got into the room and it was in Soho and it was in like a small dingy room, and I was thinking, oh my God. And I wasn't going for myself, by the way, I was just going to support my friend at the time, for moral support. And I was a little bit intrigued to find out what it was about. Anyway, so you go into the room, everybody sits down, they have a guest speaker at the front and a co-secretary, and they have a table and they have all the literature on, including the big book and flyers and all these things to read. And everybody sits down, and then when the clock strikes on the hour or when the meeting starts, they say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And everyone just takes a deep breath, and it's like a really magical thing. Like, it's just so nice to be in a group of everyone being on the same page. I don't know. And this was an LGBTQ one, so there was just like gorgeous gay guys there that smelt really good, all dressed in designer, like had really good bodies. And I was like, I'm a sucker for a gay guy anyway. Like, 2 of my exes turned out to be a bit gay, so I'm generally a little bit attracted to gays. But yeah, I loved that aspect of it. And a lot of them had like cute little dogs on their lap, and they just looked really well and healthy and present, and like people I'd want to speak to, but I didn't want to speak to them because I felt like they were above me and I felt like inferior. But at the same time, I was like very judgmental, thinking, oh, these poor people are absolute crackheads. Like, oh, thank God I'll never be like them, or I'm not an addict. I was so in denial that I was an addict. And then, I went to a few more, but I was still drinking. And then I went to the Henley Regatta boat race, where I went with some ex-colleagues at the place I used to work. And I told myself I'm not gonna drink until 1 p.m. So I met them at the station, and they were all drinking at 10 a.m. and I didn't drink, and it got to 1 p.m. and I was thinking, okay, how am I gonna moderately drink? And there was a Muslim guy sat next to me. So we're in like one of those corporate tents, and there was a 3-course meal, and there was unlimited champagne, and there was a band, and it was on the river. It was a gorgeous day. And I turned around to him that wasn't drinking, and I said, how do you do it? How do you go to an event and not drink? Like, I'm baffled. I was baffled by these people at those times. I was like, because I drank anytime, any excuse, I would get slaughtered, blackout every time. Loved it, absolutely loved it. And he said, why don't you have 1 drink an hour? And I thought, that's genius. Why have I never thought about that? Just have 1 glass of champagne an hour. And I was watching my clock, and okay, 1 hour in, I drank 2 bottles of champagne, and I was in the Portaloo with one of the director's family with a bag of cocaine, and I was deep in the sesh, and this was 1 p.m. 2 a.m. I was still going. I drained my bank account. This was a weekday as well, and I already had a new job, and I had to be at my new job the next day. 2 a.m. I'm still out. 8 a.m. I wake up in this old people's house, and they explain that they found me on the side of the road, and there was a man being really horrible to me, and I could not remember anything, and I'd lost my phone, my keys, literally just had a bag with a lip gloss in it at this random person's house, and they asked if I knew anyone's number, and I only knew my granddad's, so I rang my granddad, and it was just like such a moment where I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Oh, I think I was 28, and I thought, this isn't cute anymore. I'm not a student. I'm not trying alcohol for the first time. I'm a mess. I am a big, messy old little mess. So anyway, this old guy that was staying at their apartment, amazing apartment, so grateful for them. Oh my gosh, they showed me that humanity exists and there's good people out there. He walked me with his dog 3 miles down the river to go and find my keys and my phone. I got my phone back, not my keys. So then I got on the train from Henley back to Clapham, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I've missed work. Got home to Clapham, didn't have my house keys, no one was home, no one was working from home. To climb over the fence, and the way my heels were digging into me the whole way home as well, because I was wearing high heels and a dress, and I stunk, and my feet were swollen and killing, and it was summer, and it was, my head had this splitting pain in it. And I got home and I had to somehow climb through the window and climb over the fence. So I climbed up the fence and my skirt got stuck on the fence, and it was quite a high fence, and this granny came walking along and she had a walking stick and she was unhooking my skirt, and I'm just like koala bear, and I'm quite overweight as well. I was like 3 or 4 stone overweight. I'm just on the top of my fence, daylight, looking like, thank you. So embarrassing. Oh my gosh. That was a wake up moment for me. What am I doing? Anyway, I climbed in through the kitchen window, went inside, called my boss. She thought it was funny. So blessed for the last company I worked at, not the one that fired me, the one before, because, oh my God, the best people ever, ever, ever. They just said, you know, take your time, don't worry, that's funny. And then that's the last time I ever drank, and I started going to 12-step recovery groups, NA and AA, in person in London, and just, you sit around and you hear people's stories. Every meeting, somebody sits at the front and they've got long-term sobriety and they will tell their story, and then everybody that's sat in the crowd will say what they're going through at that moment. And yeah, like I used to judge this so much, and I'd see it on TV, like, you know, those support groups, and it is a little bit like that, but it's so interesting, and you just have as if you are an addict, like as I am, you have so many similarities to all of these people that are from different walks of life and at different stages in their life, and you just learn so much. And I love learning and I love growing, and all these people are just on a continuous spiritual growth journey, and it's amazing. So then 2 months in, I started to gain even more weight because I put down alcohol and drugs, and I just started eating all the time, like all day, every day. I was just eating because I didn't want to feel my emotions. I was numbing myself out with food. So I thought, eventually I was in work and my dress ripped, and I had a client meal, and I had to keep my elbow next to my split in the dress because I didn't have time to get changed. So I was eating my lunch like this, and that was really embarrassing. And I thought, I'm just gonna go and use alcohol and cocaine again, because I'd rather be an alcoholic and a druggie than be too fat to fit into my clothes. And then that exact day, I remembered I'd seen a poster in the AA rooms that said food addicts in recovery. And of course I didn't want to admit I was a food addict, so shameful. But I decided I might go, and I was so anxious, I was so nervous that I had the biggest binge of my life. My office was in Fitzrovia and the room was in Soho, and I just ping-ponged from shop to shop. I was buying, had a tuna baguette, then I bought an ice cream, then I went backing because I thought ice cream was really nice, then I bought a flapjack, then a protein bar, and then another sandwich, and I was just ping-ponging all the way. By the time I got to this FA food addicts room, it was a very small room, there was maybe 6 people in there, and my stomach was about to split at the seams. I was in so much pain. And they began to talk. It was the same format as the AA, and the stories they were saying, I thought, oh no, I'm a food addict. And I've always been a food addict. And I realised that this started when I was a child, finishing school, going home to pile sugar on my cereals and sit in front of SpongeBob SquarePants. Like, that was my escapism from the age of maybe 5 years old. And I was still doing it now in this loop. And now 2 years later, I cannot begin to tell you how different I would have recorded this video for a start. I was way too shy, but I was the party girl when I was drunk. And without the alcohol, I was nobody. I was so afraid of life. And now I'm 18 months sober. I have so much more confidence. I'm so much healthier. I have a program that supports me. I've met so many fellows. I have friends in America now that I can stay with whenever I like, friends in Australia. Just, it's crazy how amazing this program is. And the best thing, it's free. So yeah, if you think you might be an addict, honestly, just go onto the website, go onto the meetings. There's a program for everything. There's Debtors Anonymous. I turned my finances around. I went from being in debt to 2 months later having 5 months rent. Like, it's just crazy how these programs work. It's magic. And yeah, there's ones for everything: social media, sex, love, everything, and it's incredible. And I just wanted to talk about my journey, and I could probably go into more detail, but I'll leave it there, and drop a comment if you want to know more. But thank you so much for listening, and I wish you all the best on your recovery journey, if that's why you're here.